Hi, this is Craig Beck from StopDrinkingExpert.com. Welcome into today's video, which we're also going to turn into a podcast. You'll be able to find it on iTunes as the Happy Sober Podcast. And it's about how you reverse liver damage from alcohol use. Now, really important, I am not a doctor. I'm not here to give you medical advice. My website and this YouTube channel are not a replacement for professional medical assistance. I encourage you to do your own research and speak to your own doctor. Okay? So, there's this kind of half story around the liver. And a lot of drinkers console themselves that if they ever got into trouble, if they had ever had really serious issues with their drinking, then all they'd have to do is stop drinking and the liver would repair itself, because that's what it does. It's amazing. And that's half true. It is amazing. It's just a miracle of human engineering, this part of our body that's constantly, second by second, processing our blood and removing all the poisons, toxins, and compounds in there that are going to do us harm. It's amazing. And it will take a lot of punishment, quietly, without complaining. There are hardly any nerve endings in it, which is a good thing and a bad thing. So it's going to take a lot of abuse, and you're going to be completely unaware of it. And often it can sustain this abuse for decades, 10, 20, 30 years of drinking. And you find a lot of people never had any problem because the liver is so powerful and so resilient. And in fact, did you know that the human liver can continue to function even when 80% of it has been destroyed? It's amazing, isn't it? I don't think that happens with any other organ. I mean, imagine if 80% of your heart was damaged. It wouldn't work. You'd die. Imagine if you only had 20% lung capacity. You wouldn't be able to breathe without oxygen. Perhaps you'd be dead. And yet here's the liver. Even when you destroy 80% of it, it can still function. Now, the problem is there are two types of liver damage. One type is reversible, generally. And one type isn't. And that's where this is kind of a half story. Because most problem drinkers, most people who are using alcohol on a daily or in binge amounts, are going to suffer from something called alcoholic fatty liver. This is an excessive buildup of fat in the liver. So instead of it being smooth and, constant in composition all the way through, it becomes speckled. When you see a juicy T-bone steak and it's got that marbling in it with the fat, that's exactly what happens with your liver. It becomes enlarged and swollen and ineffective. And often, certainly I had this problem. And when I do my boot camps around the world, I ask people if they've had this as well. This kind of dull ache in the right side of your abdomen radiates from the front round to the back, and it just won't go away. It's not pain so much as discomfort. And that was the first thing that sent me to the doctor, because I put it off for months because I genuinely didn't want them to stop me drinking. How insane is that? I had a pain in a very delicate part of my body, and I wouldn't go to the doctor because I was scared they would make me stop drinking. Nuts. And eventually I did go to the doctor, and they did some tests and they found my liver enzymes were elevated and my liver was swollen. And when your liver swells, because like I said, there's not many nerve endings in it, and you feel discomfort over here, you're not feeling the pain of the liver. What you're feeling is the swollen organ pressing on other sensitive areas of the abdomen. So you've got a lot going on over here, kidneys and intestines and so on. So your liver's swelling and pushing on these other sensitive areas, and it's called referred pain. Now, if you're a problem drinker and you've got fatty liver, the chances are good you can reverse it. To reverse fatty liver, here's what you do. You stop drinking. I mean completely. I don't mean cut back. I don't mean only drink on special occasions. I mean you stop drinking poison for fun immediately. And unless you do that, nothing else is going to make any difference. Back when I was a drinker, I made an assumption. I used to take milk thistle tablets because I'd heard they protect the liver from harm. And I used to take so many milk thistle tablets that I thought I'd probably overdosed on them. I was probably getting ill from the amount I was taking. Because at some points, I was taking 10 times the recommended dose of milk thistle. Because I was so scared about my liver health, and yet I still didn't want to stop drinking, and so I thought I could cheat the system by taking supplements to protect my liver. Look, if that's your mentality, if that's what you're thinking, it's like playing Russian roulette. Because there's not enough research to say if that works or it doesn't work. If you want to be my honest feedback at this point, the research suggests it doesn't work. The data suggests that milk thistle does not help people with alcohol-induced liver damage. And the same goes for other herbal substances like kudzu and things like that. But it's like playing Russian roulette, because you don't have the proof, you don't have the evidence that what you're doing is delivering the outcome you want, liver protection. And so you're playing in the dark. So you have to quit drinking. Now, if you've tried that many times on your own and failed, don't keep doing the same thing over and over again, because guess what you're going to get? You're going to get the same reaction, the same response every single time, aren't you? So do something different. Go to rehab, go to AA, use my online course, or come to one of my quit drinking boot camps, but do something different than you did before. So once you've got the alcohol out of your system, then you need to address your diet. You need to start looking after yourself a bit better and eating high quality, high nutrient and vitamin-rich foods. Lots of leafy greens and things like that. Cut out the junk food, the processed food, and the takeaways. Next, exercise. Movement is medicine. Drink lots of water and commit to this lifestyle for the rest of your life. If you do that, you have an exceptional chance of completely reversing the fatty liver problems, completely healing your liver. Now, 50% of heavy drinkers, it's a big number, 50% of heavy drinkers who continue to abuse alcohol for more than 10 years, so a couple of decades, 20 years, will get cirrhosis of the liver. So this is not like you're exposing yourself to a small risk of something nasty. It's huge. If you think about you and your drinking friends, let's say you've got 3 other drinking friends. If you all continue to drink heavily for the next 20 years, 2 people in that group are probably going to be dead as a result of that activity. That's quite shocking, isn't it? Now, a lot of drinkers live under this false safety net that if I ever got serious problems, if the doctor ever said to me, you've got a problem with your liver, then I'd stop drinking. Until then, I'm going to carry on having a good time. And the problem there is the liver works away in the background diligently, quietly, taking all this abuse. And alcohol, they say, is a silent serial killer. It quietly, slowly kills you. And often by the point you get to be sitting in front of a doctor who's saying to you, you've got fibrosis of the liver, or you've got cirrhosis of the liver, it's too late. Game over. Because it doesn't matter how much water you drink, it doesn't matter how healthy the food you eat, it doesn't matter how much you work out and look after yourself. Once you have scarring in the liver, it's there forever. So if you've got cirrhosis, or fibrosis as it's sometimes called, which basically just means a hardening of the liver, there's no way to reverse that. Absolutely no way to reverse it. The only thing you can do at this point is stop it getting any worse. So if you can stop this before it gets to the point where your liver can no longer process the blood correctly, then you can go into remission and you can sustain that situation for the rest of your life if you're diligent and you're careful. But of course, it still requires the steps that I mentioned previously: quitting drinking, good nutrition, exercise, and taking super good care of yourself. If you get to the point where the cirrhosis, the scarring, and the stiffening of your liver gets too bad, there are only 2 options. 1, death, 2, transplant. And I wouldn't really pin too much hope on the transplant, to be honest with you, because, and some drinkers have said to me in the past, well, if it ever got really bad, I just get a liver transplant. Yeah, great, but the math is going to kill you on this, because first of all, if you've got cirrhosis of the liver to the point where you need a transplant, you have at best got 3 to 6 months to live. Time is running out for you. Now, because 50% of drinkers who do get a transplant go back to being problem drinkers, virtually all the transplant facilities around the world will not give you a liver unless you can demonstrate that you've been sober for at least 6 months. That's not great when you have 6 months to live, is it? That's a real numbers game. But it's worse than that, because I think the wait in the United States for a liver is something like 12 to 18 months. So you're not even going to get to the point where it's a possibility. And so that might sound a bit doom and gloom, but what I'm trying to say to you is, if you've got any sort of symptom at the moment, first of all, I hope you've seen your doctor. Secondly, if you haven't gone too far down the road, you can almost freeze time. You can stop it getting any worse. And if you're suffering with the problem that most drinkers have, fatty liver, you can reverse this. But forget about all these, big claim supplements and tablets that you can buy on eBay and Amazon and things like this, making these big grand claims, because they don't exist. It's all nonsense. The regulation around these herbal supplements is really laxed. It's not like prescription drugs. They don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars proving what their substance does. They just stick a label on it and sell it, and that's pretty much it. But all these, tablets like Milk Thistle and Live 52 and all these, there's just not enough evidence to say that they're actually doing anything. And until there is, the most important thing you can do: quit drinking, good nutrition, lots of water, exercise, look after yourself. Okay? So I hope that helps. Don't forget, if you find these videos helpful, please subscribe to my channel now, like and comment below. And if you're serious about dealing with this, go to my website right now, stopdrinkingexpert.com, and sign up for today's free quit drinking webinar. I'll even give you a copy of my best-selling book, Alcohol Lied to Me, as a free gift, just for turning up. Also, while you're there at the website, stopdrinkingexpert.com, you can check out the dates and ticket availability for my quit drinking boot camps. There's only 5 left for this year. We've got Chicago coming up next, then Dublin for the first time ever, then in London, and New York is on the way as well. So go to the website and reserve your place. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.